What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Apocaflix Movies and the Marvel Rewind here on a nice Friday, early Friday afternoon, I will add. We are here today to do a nice little spoiler discussion on the first two episodes of WandaVision. The MCU is back, ladies and gentlemen. It is officially back. We are in the swing of Phase 4. We are officially a going forward, and we have a lot of cool things to talk about today and going forward for the next number of weeks. After this episode today, you will see us for another 7 weeks, including a full spoiler breakdown of the Marvel Rewind for the first season of WandaVision, and then all the other Disney plus Marvel stuff that comes out for the rest of the year as well. And it's not just going to be me; it's going to be the whole crew, as you see here today. I got Mr. Jacob Bartley to my right on screen. What's up, man?
Hello, doing pretty well, man. I wasn't sure what to think of this show, but I'm excited to talk about it for sure.
Cool. Mr. Gio Ramos right there in the right-hand corner. What's up?
Hello, guys. The MCU is finally back, like Jake said. It's just exciting. And like I said, I hope you all had a nice break because the MCU is not stopping for the foreseeable future.
Very, very true. Very true. And Mr. Brian Avalosino, you're finally off the day from work, dude. What's up?
Not technically.
What?
Not
You're
anymore.
still going?
I'm technically on the clock till 4. You knew this
And you're
Why are you
here.
here?
because you just randomly. Oh, by the way, 2 o'clock. I'm like, all right.
We talked about it for a week or so. Someone could.
This was pre-recorded at 6 a.m. Just tell that to your bosses, Brian. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, if Brian randomly leaves, you know why.
Yeah. There's a strong possibility of that actually.
All right. So we're here to talk first 2 episodes of WandaVision. The first 2 dropped this morning. If you stayed up for midnight, you watch it at midnight. If not, you watch it at some point today. We are going to get into spoilers. So all of you watching, we are getting into full spoilers. So hopefully you have seen it. To everyone in the chat, what's up? What's going on? If you guys have any questions, or like it says up top, if you guys want to talk about some theories about what you're thinking, hit that Streamlabs link, guys. It's up there up top, also in the description below. And we'd love to hear some questions for you guys, but we're going to get right into this.
The chat is already going, man. This is why I love the live shows. The chat is already
Yeah, and I will say to Rachel, because she tweeted it, I did figure out a way to go black and white, but I couldn't do it without my other crew members, so I'm not going to do it today. Maybe we'll figure it out going forward. But yes, so let's get into this, guys. WandaVision is finally here, and we have 2 episodes to talk about today. It's been a big road to this point, a lot of hype around this show. Obviously, the first thing going into Phase 4 for Marvel, and Vision is back per se after the events of Infinity War, and this is the first thing after Avengers Endgame. So let's just go around the table a little bit, talk about our overall thoughts of. Sorry, I always forget about Spider-Man: Far From Home. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Far From Home, yes, you are correct. So let's just go around real quick, talk about our overall thoughts about it, kind of excitement going into it, and if it lived up to the hype a little bit. Brian, I'll go right back to you.
I was a midnight watcher, thank God, because I haven't had time since I wouldn't.
Oh,
have
you
had
stayed
time.
up. Nice.
Yeah. Thank God, because I would not have had time before this. Wait, am I saying if I liked it or not, and that's it?
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought there were times where I forgot I was watching an MCU like type thing. I thought I zoned off and just honestly felt like. So I grew up heavily with I Love Lucy. That's my mom's favorite show. She tells me at least once a year that when I was born, that was the show she was watching while giving birth to me. So the black and white, that type stuff, I'm highly used to. So there were times where I completely forgot I was watching it in up to date MCU type thing. And I'd catch myself and I'd go, oh, wait a minute. This is totally not what I'm watching. But yeah, I loved it.
Mr. Bartley.
So it was, expectations were, this was like the one MCU property where the expectations were, you didn't know what to expect because we saw the trailers and we're just like, okay, all you can expect is just this is going to be crazy and odd. And that's what it should be. It's a Scarlet Witch driven show. And, with her, a lot of crazy stuff can happen. And I think when you look at it from the perspective of this is all set up and building towards something, it's great. And that's what I think when we look back at these episodes, we're going to be like, oh my God, these are amazing because they were setting up this, and that. And so I think they're doing a really good job of getting us ready for the rest of this season. And I'll just say, I thought these first 2 episodes were hilarious. The way they use sitcom tropes, but then apply them to Wanda and Vision are great. So I'm excited to get into those details.
Gio?
Yeah, I completely agree with Jacob and Brian. You know, the whole creative approach was what I was looking forward to the most, and it's what surprised me the most. You know, I wasn't really too familiar with black and white shows. Like, obviously, I've heard of I Love Lucy and others, but there were times where I was just like, I can't believe I'm watching a Marvel, an MCU, you know, content, a show, high budget show, and I was just amazed by what I was watching. And like Jacob said, you know, like the dialogue, the humor, the live audience, like it all worked so well, and it really like had its moments of homage to those you know, classic sitcoms, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. And we'll get into all the theories and speculations because there's a lot. Obviously, what's on the surface isn't what it seems. You know, there's a lot below the surface. And going on Twitter and reading, you know, theories and speculations, I was like, my God, these episodes, even though they're 20 minutes, there's a lot of stuff in here, especially in the commercials too. Like the commercials are so well done, and we'll get into all of that. I'm impressed. Yeah.
Commercials were a very nice touch, a very unexpected touch too. I will say this to kind of start off my thoughts, and Chuck and Rachel were talking about it in the chat. I can't believe how excited I got just seeing the Marvel logo again.
Yes.
Hearing the music.
It seemed like it was just so long ago that we had seen, you know, the montage of all the characters with the music and then the Marvel Studios logo pop up. I love the twist on it this time. Obviously, it turning into wedding music, church music at the very end, going into the scenery for the episode, which was really great. But yeah, it's interesting because this is unlike anything we've ever seen with Marvel. It did not feel like a Marvel property. It didn't look like a Marvel property. There's obviously things that we recognize because we're fans and we've seen Scarlet Witch and Vision for so long in the universe. But it seemed like they tried to go out and make something that was so far from their typical brand, but also close to it at the same time that's what they did. They wanted to make something wacky. They wanted to make something different in this like very just weird thing, and they did it. And to what Jacob had said earlier too, I had a great time because I thought it was really funny. And you could tell that everybody was having a really good time with it, which always creates a great product. If you have people who are invested in it and people who are really enjoying their time doing the scenes or the stuff that sometimes is considered like just hard or annoying, they're enjoying doing those parts, then it's going to create a great product. And I mean, everything about it. And I don't watch a lot of sitcoms. And so I've never seen a lot of old sitcoms either. So I don't know. I mean, I watched Brady Bunch. That was pretty much it. So I typically know just like the basics of what it is. And I found myself really enjoying the process of what was happening between these characters and like the funny moments and like Jacob had said, the tropes between everything. And I can't wait to see what they do with the future episodes because we know that they just keep going forward in time and it just gets better and better with sitcoms as it goes on, right? Brady Bunch and you know, Home Improvement and all these other type of sitcoms, Roseanne, that we're going to see down the line for the show. So it's going to be a lot of very, very exciting. All right, let's get into some hard-nosed stuff here, though. Does anybody want to start with something? Something specific that they want to talk about? Anyone want to bring up something that we can get into here while we start this episode off?
I can start real quick. Go ahead. I appreciate how much it actually is. When you really look at it, a lot of the Easter eggs and stuff, it really is about Wanda. And even though Vision is a huge part of this, we don't know. I mean, we assume that Vision is not really back. He's not really alive. He's been made up, whether it's in her mind or she created him again. I love how, because we've seen this character develop since Age of Ultron, and I really liked her in Age of Ultron, the character, and we've seen her grow and become a huge part of the MCU. And they're putting things that they planted in Age of Ultron into this show, and it's really about all the stuff that she's been to leading up to this point. So I think when they're starting with that, it makes it like we're not getting a Scarlet Witch movie, right? I mean, maybe one day, who knows? But this is a great way to explore this character, and that's what I really appreciated.
Yeah, as many characters as we have Kathryn Hahn, we have Paul Bettany, we have appearances from other people that we're going to recognize throughout, big name actors who have parts in this, but it really is all about Elizabeth Olsen and Scarlet Witch. Like that's what it is about to its core. No matter what else is happening around, everything comes from her, because we obviously know, and it's not confirmed, but we're speculating that everything in the show is basically just her own reality, and that's what she wants it to be. Leading her, she's Agent Zero in the show. Everything branches off of her. We saw slight moments of that in the second episode, which we'll get to. But yeah, it's interesting because as big of a character as she is in the comics, you're right, Jacob. We probably will never see a Scarlet Witch movie. She fits better with characters that are the quote unquote lead characters, the A characters, and then she's put in with them, and that's kind of her own little movie, like Doctor Strange 2. That'll essentially be her big movie. We're never going to see a solo Scarlet Witch movie, but you can do a solo Scarlet Witch series, 100%, and they're doing it wacky and wonderful, and so far it's totally succeeding, and it's just been 2 episodes.
Yeah, to piggyback off of Jake and Jacob, I think 98% of what we're seeing is all Wanda, and there's clear evidence of that. The standout scene in episode 1 for me at the dinner table when the boss starts choking, and you can start to gradually see that Wanda is actually doing all that, and it's those moments that remind you, like, wow, like, okay, this isn't just for fun. Like, there's some serious stuff going down in this, and it's just I can't wait to see how much more further that they push that in the future episodes.
While you bring that up, I do want to ask a question about that dinner scene real quick, because I this has been pondering back in my head a little bit, because the first 2 episodes had very minimal relation to anything big that's going on that's going to be revealed down the line. There's very small things, right? Obviously the beekeeper that we'll talk about in episode 2. And then for me, even though there may have been one other part, but did anybody get the sense that she was essentially, when Vision went to help his boss, he didn't get up until Wanda said something? Was she controlling him?
Well, I don't think he's alive, so I think.
Well, what I'm saying is, did he only get up because she said Vision help him? Is what I'm like, almost like
she broke,
like a puppeteer in a way.
She broke character.
That's what I'm saying.
Tell him to go, and I'm starting to lean more towards that this is her own doing than someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the 2 times she broke character.
Specifically, I will definitely give on the second episode for sure.
Yeah. Because she's literally like sitting there, like letting it go on, and the wife is like, she's at first it starts at stop it, like this is a joke, and
that scene was kind of creepy too, and the way the mom from that 70s show,
Kitty,
Deborah Cho
Kitty
or something,
Kitty.
Yeah, I love that they brought her in. They totally brought her in for that sitcom feel.
Yeah, and so like she started to like, it went from like joke to she was begging her to stop it, to help, and then she broke character, removed it, or he removed it, and yeah, and then the second one we'll save,
which is from the second episode,
the beekeeper part.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here.
Well, that's what I'm talking about too. With it's so cool that they're like using their powers in this reality, because it has a sitcom environment mixed in with superpowers, which is really cool.
See, and it's funny because I after I watched them, I was reading online with other people's breakdowns and stuff, and a lot of people have been saying that they believe that neither of them know where they are at the time. Like neither of them recognize where they are.
They don't,
or who they are. And I know there's moments of that, but then there's these other moments where, like, you know, Brian had mentioned, like she kind of breaks these character and it's almost like she's flipping a switch on and off when she needs to at the most dire situations. And she does know, but she's putting on a face like she doesn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is talking about it too soon. The biggest thing that I was left questioning at the end of the first episode was the fact that Sword was watching her do this, and they were basically watching the TV episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, there's a difference from like being inside the bubble and like that stuff's going on versus being inside the bubble, that stuff going on, but people are watching the show outside of it.
Yeah.
So that left me kind of going like, wait a minute, something's off.
That's what I'm saying. I literally think she's the puppeteer. I think all strings are on her fingers right now, and she's doing all the pulling.
I think if I'm throwing out my random prediction right now, I don't think she's on purpose mentally doing it. I think it's the stone. Whatever the power of the stone has.
Yeah, it's making her go mad, maybe.
Yeah. And that's it's tapping into her childhood or whatever that she grew up watching these shows, and it's manifested inside her. She's doing it, but she's not in control doing it.
Yeah, it's weird. I think somehow it's going to be a mixture of both. Like has a huge part in what's going on, but someone else from the outside is manipulating it also. Because I mean, we hear the guy calling to her, Wanda, who's doing this to you?
Yeah.
So something's being done to her. Maybe she's just like passed out in a coma, and then somehow like some TV show pops up to the rest of the world and everybody else is seeing what's going on. Who knows? We'll find out, but I'm really curious. I don't want to like get ahead of ourselves, but I mean, it's always good to speculate.
I have two.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. Like someone else is involved somehow.
Well, we heard Randall Park's character on the other side of the microphone in both episodes. That was his voice. Just a voice so far. Whether or not he's the one actually watching, we'll know probably in the next number of weeks. But it's interesting. There's a lot. It's funny because the episodes were so far from like they were just so much fun in like a sitcom world and giving us something different, and they felt so disconnected from like a total Marvel Cinematic Universe standpoint. But yet there's so many things to be thinking about on what's going with just like so few of moments that happen. The dinner scene, the beekeeper, the voice, and that's pretty much all we have to go off at this point.
Yeah. Chuck, by the way, I love you for pointing that out because I've been waiting for an opportunity for like 2 weeks to bring up the fact that they changed the sword name.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of world, it's weapons now. So it's Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division.
Department.
No, division.
Department.
I literally am looking at the logo.
So
I'm literally looking at it right now.
Who came out and said that they changed that? Or is it somewhere?
It was MCU Direct that put it out.
And MCU Direct has been they've been all over everything as far as reporting MCU stuff over the last year or so. They popped up randomly one day and I kind of just kept an eye on them, and they've been all over it ever since. But that's a big deal because Wanda has been considered a weapon multiple times. She's been considered a weapon multiple times by multiple people. So it's definitely something to to keep in mind going forward. Okay.
I'm curious though how she went from where the end of Endgame to what's going on.
That is the thing that I'm wondering the most.
I mean, the last time we saw her, she was talking about Vision, so maybe she couldn't handle. Because basically, she disintegrated.
Last time we saw her was on the lake with Hawkeye, correct?
Yeah, so she disintegrated from the snap, and during that 5 years, she was just gone, right? But then she comes back. So to her, she just lost Vision right away. Like it was like a day later. So she's very disturbed right now, and she lost her brother too, which I'm surprised she doesn't talk about her brother. But I guarantee you she will during this show at some point.
Well, that's because he's going to appear.
I hope so. That'd be cool. I mean, if it's a fake world,
he's 100% showing up.
If it's a fake world, why wouldn't he appear?
Yeah, he's 100% showing up.
Yeah,
it's happening.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's happening. So, all right, Gio, do you have any final thoughts on Wanda in general?
You mean on the first episode?
Or just in general, everything that we've been talking about the last couple of minutes. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just to like support all you guys and what you've been saying, when she's asked at the dinner table, where'd you come from? Why are you here? That's when she begins to realize, or maybe she's being called out, like this whole thing. And then the wife saying, stop it, like, Wanda, stop it, stop all of this. And then it just goes on from there. The voice on the radio, Wanda, who is doing this to you? I really think it's somebody who is kind of manipulating her or making her do all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, if you want to talk after, I think I know who it is already.
Who?
No, I'm not going to say it because it might spoil a thing.
Well, it's a theory, though. It's a theory.
It spoils an underlying character that people don't know yet. So, and I don't want to ruin it for people.
Well, if it's information that's out there, I don't think it's a spoiler because
it's not.
They haven't said anything, and you're probably talking about Kathryn Hahn, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's
makes the most sense.
Still speculation, to be fair.
Well, and just to speculate that quickly, so far from what we've seen, she's the only person to transfer between the two episodes outside of Vision and
that's
Vision
true. I mean, because it's just the boss and the coworkers and his wife in the first episode, really.
Mm-hmm.
And what's her name? Oh, she appears in the second episode, right? What's her?
Maria Rambeau.
Yeah, Rambeau.
Yeah, she's in the second episode only. Which she'll be back, obviously.
Yeah, she'll be back.
There's always a little bit of a
when Wanda finds that helicopter. Is that in the first episode?
Second episode.
Second.
Okay, well,
because that's the first time we see color.
Kathryn Hahn
obviously. Has anybody seen Pleasantville here?
No.
Oh,
yes. No, I've seen it. Yeah.
Great Pleasantville vibes with the helicopter and the color. Going back to that movie. If you've never seen Pleasantville, it's very similar where there's a black and white world and then they figure out what color is and everything. It changes their whole outlook on life, but very cool Pleasantville vibes with that, finding the helicopter and everything. But yeah, so since we've talked quite at length about Wanda, why don't we switch the side and talk about Vision a little bit and Paul Bettany. Obviously the second half of this show right now. And we see him back. Obviously, we don't think that he's alive. He's alive in her reality, this reality that she is creating, or the reality that someone else has created to keep her on track, maybe. Everything's going to unravel at some point. But I got to say up top, Paul Bettany stole the first two episodes for me.
He was great.
He was having so much fun playing this character. Specifically that second episode where we saw Drunk Vision with gum in his system. Like that was pretty crazy and pretty funny. The fact that he can get Drunk Vision with just gum in his gears is pretty funny. But the way that he plays the character is great. I love seeing Paul Bettany finally get his due at leading something because he's always been in that role where he's like the second supporting or a side character, and he's always been so good. And now we really get to see him embrace his character. I also love the take on Vision in the 50s and the 60s. It's a really fun take. Vision is typically a character that really, he's young and doesn't really know what's going on because he's such no comedy factor to him, right? He's such a serious character at times, but we get to see a kind of more fun take on the character this time around. So, And plus, their chemistry was insane. The two of them are so good together, and that's what's going to make the show, and that's what's made the show so far.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, you guys keep saying it's hers, but he's just as big, really. Honestly, like he's pretty much every step of the way mirroring if she does something, he does something. If they do something, they do it together. If they don't, then he does his own thing later. Like they showed her doing the planning of the dinner party, and then it goes to him at work, and then it goes back to them being together. So yeah, he did a fantastic job.
Well, and this plays into that they don't really know what's going on, right? The first episode, well, what is that date? Like, do we have an anniversary? Is it a birthday? Like, what is that date? And then they find out something else. But then again, Vision is his job too. He does all this work, and then he's like, well, what do we do as a company?
Yeah, no one can
tell.
tell.
Do we buy? Like, what is the deal? So it's going to be interesting to see all that information kind of unravel as these episodes go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a dream almost, because it's like they just woke up, and when you wake up in the middle of a dream and you don't really know what's going on, but you're just doing stuff. That's kind of what they're doing. But you could see Wanda thinking a lot. She's like, wait a minute, do I know what's going on? It's like weird. So I love that feel. And Vision, I love what they're doing with him, because he has been in the background in a lot. Very powerful character with the stone in his head, and he's kind of been he's been given a personality in this show, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, some of the funniest moments of these first two episodes come from him. When he's at that little meeting with all the guys, and you see a little bit of his humor come out. And then, when early on too in the episodes, when he's like, I'm incapable of, what does he say? Like, I'm incapable of forgetting something or stuff like that. That's some of the funniest moments in these first two episodes.
Yeah, like when they go like, you're like a robot. No, I'm not.
Or he goes, yeah, I don't eat food.
Yeah.
And he has to backtrack on, I don't eat food between meals. Like it's all that stuff that's coming out. Really, super, super funny. All right. Anything else that we want to bring up within the first two episodes that's important? We can get to the nitty gritty right now if we want to. Do we want to talk about Kathryn Hahn before we get to that, though?
I mean, that was my thing. I love her.
Yeah.
She's so good.
She's a scene killer, man.
Yeah. She literally is acting exactly like the actors and actresses did at that time. Like, spot on. Like if they plucked her out of that era and put her into this, she's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love her in like anything she does, but she's so good in this. So good in this. And I cannot wait for her story to come out more.
Yeah, she honestly is probably my favorite part of this whole show so far, because I've been a big fan of Kathryn Hahn for a long time. I love her in Bad Moms. She's in The Visit. She's in Parks and Rec. She's one of my favorite comedic actresses working today. And I love that she's in this. And she's not just she's an important character, She's not just a side character or a throwaway character. She's going to play an important role. We've seen in the trailers and the images that she's throughout the whole entire season. So, and we know the theories about who she is. And we talked about somebody else being involved, and it's most likely her being involved in what's going on somehow. So I love that she's getting this opportunity, because being in an MCU property is a big deal. And for her to do this is awesome.
I agree. I mean, there's one line that she says that was like probably the funniest, when she's like, how is anybody doing this sober when the ladies are having their meeting
and that lunch
totally her
or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's great. And but there's like an unsettling feeling with her character, every time she comes around, and the fact that out of all the characters, she's the one that's like trying to be very close with Wanda. And I think there's definitely a lot that she's, responsible for as far as this whole fake reality that's happening, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, she's. I mean, it could be a point where she's just trying to, slowly dig her claws into Wanda, and give her or get all the kind of information from her, and maybe she's like an inside agent for whoever she's working for, or she's just doing it herself, which would be very interesting. We'll find that in the next couple of weeks. I do want to bring up this comment from Rachel. Could this be an alternate universe where Vision is still alive? He does seem to have his own life away from Wanda at the office, and even when he goes to other places as well, like the what was it, the Night Watch meeting, or what the
Neighborhood Watch
meeting. Yeah, there's a movie called Night Watch, was what I said that. What do we think about that? Do you think there's a possibility that this show ends? Because I believe we're all on the same page where this is pretty much a 1-season thing, 9 episodes, which is lengthier than the rest of them, and that the story's going to continue in the movie form. Could it end with Vision being brought back to life via alternate universe?
I mean, out of all the I don't even think it's alternate universe. I mean, out of all the characters that can come back, he's a robot.
Yeah.
He's not human. Yes, his body, his whatever you want to call it, is beyond advanced, but he's not flesh and bone. Like, he doesn't need a heart.
He's synthetic, I think is what.
Yeah, he doesn't need a brain. He doesn't need these types of things. Granted, the Infinity Stone did provide a lot of stuff, but again, he is a robot. He is not human. So the likelihood of that specific type of character coming back is much higher than, or plausible, I should say, than
Tony Stark coming
Tony
back.
Stark or Gamora or Black Widow, without it being a la a multiverse or something.
There's a possibility where he already is alive. Like, he could have already been remade, and this is him.
And we don't know how much Shuri got of that information when she was taking it out in Infinity War.
Yeah, and it's right now it's more so figuring out how he's alive without the stone. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle at this point.
Yeah.
How he operates without the stone, because outside of this reality, so the stone in the show is there, but in real reality, the reality that we know in the MCU, the stone is gone.
Is the stone on his head?
Yeah.
In the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like lit up or anything. Well,
we don't know what it looks like black and white.
It was hard to tell because it's black and white, but
it is there.
Because they say in Infinity War, they say the stone is part of Vision, but it's not completely him. Like, there was a way to remove it and have him still be himself. He wouldn't be as powerful as he was, but that's fine. I'm sure Wanda wouldn't care. She just wants him back. So
you just gotta do a little rewiring.
Yeah, I do think there's a way, and who knows though, because if this is like a fake world that she created, or just like in her head, or a new dimension she created, I guess she could like bring him out of it. Who knows? I mean, we'll get more answers down the road.
We've seen her create stuff and make stuff disappear, and who says that?
And that's another thing. He's like you said, he's all synthetic. Can she manipulate synthetic things, but not, flesh and bone and things like that? Maybe.
Yeah. I'm sure she can.
I was gonna say one quick thing that I noticed, because I'm looking for the most minute things while I'm watching this. To not only the fact that Gio, was it you that said Kathryn Hahn was the only character to come back in both episodes?
No, I think that was Jake.
Okay. Not only that, I noticed something too. Both episodes, and I have no idea if this has anything to do with anything, whatever. I just caught it and noticed. Both times she was in it, she was wearing the same brooch, like little lapel thing. The first episode, it was right here, like holding her outfit together. The second time, it was over here, like kind of like on her chest. So I was kind of, I noticed that. I was like, because the first time I was like, I just noticed it. And then I was like, wait a minute, why is that? There's another, it's on her chest again too. So I don't know if that's anything. But
Did you look into it, Brian?
no, I haven't looked into it. I mean, but I just noticed that both times, because I'm literally looking for teeny things when I'm watching.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I personally think who we think she is speculation, right? Like it's not.
I mean, they literally just called her Agatha.
People say she's Agatha Harkness from the comics, who's a witch who's been around for a very long time, and that character has a stone that she wears on.
Yeah, she wears a
time. So
yeah,
it's probably her, which would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Jacob basically just said it. Her character is a witch that's been around since the Salem witch trials.
Yeah, and I'm no expert. I looked this up today, but like she apparently she's been a villain to Wanda and an ally at times.
Yeah.
So.
It could be, I mean, Brian, with the whole brooch thing that you were talking about, it could be something that maybe Wanda, if she is creating this reality and say she is part of it, something that she remembers from meeting her in the past or something, and she just continues to put that on her, or maybe it's some kind of object / device / thing that she has that either keeps her alive as herself, or like maybe going in and out of the world of this reality. Who knows? But if like say it does pop up in the next episode, then it's really something to start thinking about, because it's going to be revealed at some point. Like maybe it's, they have like in Endgame, they have the time travel devices on the hand. Maybe it's something like that, like it keeps her being herself, or she's able to go in and out of the reality, or it's like a label or something that has to play with her character and whoever she's working for, or she's just doing this to herself.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of theories. Like we know there's characters that are real people in the MCU that are being sucked into this reality too. Like why is it Rambo?
Monica
Rambo. Yeah.
Why is she there? Because she's a real person who exists in the real world. So there's a possibility that Wanda's just I
think every single person you see is real.
Yeah, that's true. And I think they've been sucked into this reality of whatever.
Well, yeah, and there was a I don't know if it was a trailer or something, but there was a trailer of Monica Rambeau literally being shot outside of like some kind of thing.
I think there's a dome over an actual town.
Yeah, and I think there was even like a preview or something that literally showed her touching the dome or the shell.
Do you think Wanda's like just created that dome?
Yeah, I think this town is a real town that she has, or something or whatever, has put a dome around this town, and no one can get in or out, really. And
see, I think it's all fake, but it's inside the dome. I think she created all of it like in an open field somewhere.
See, now I think it's an actual town that the dome has been encased. This whatever has encased this town. Everyone that lives in this town is being made to do what she wants to play a part of this TV show.
And do you think she's broadcasting the show somehow?
I think it might just be she's not like broadcasting it, but the signal is being picked up like
somewhere else.
Sword is picking it up.
I mean, I get a lot of Truman Show vibes from this, like in 100%. A totally different way.
100% Truman Show.
And I like that a lot.
Yeah. All right. I got a question here from Chuck in the comments. Those commercials, Stark and Strucker products. Who else is a product of Stark and Strucker? We obviously know that. This Wanda. Is where the Scarlet Witch comes from. What do we think about these commercials? Any ideas on where they could possibly be headed?
Well, did you hear the sound when they click the toaster?
Was it?
It's Iron Man's.
The bomb that they watched when they were like hiding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then Strucker's the Hydra agent. Obviously, that was like that did experiments on her.
He was in the beginning of. He was in the post-credit scene of
Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier, and then the beginning of Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that stuff makes you think, okay, this is obviously something that Wanda's doing. Like she's creating all of this. So because that's what I was talking about, how they're making it about Wanda. Those two things were very traumatic for her. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's memories, pretty much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
These commercials go really deep. Kevin Feige said in an interview with Collider, like some of them are fun, but some of them are like there's legit stuff in there. Like I think it was Jacob who said the toaster is, a reminder, a memory of that bomb that for 2 days didn't go off, and Wanda and God,
Pietro.
Pietro. I just saw the movie yesterday. Damn, but
I want to rewatch Age of Ultron now after watching this show.
Yeah, exactly. What do you guys think about the theory that the people who are in both commercials, because they're the same people,
Mhm.
are actually
Stacy coming in hot.
Oh wow!
You guys are on the same wavelength.
Wow.
You know
Actually,
what? I guarantee you they are. I never even thought about that.
It makes
I
sense.
didn't
They
It,
are.
it would absolutely make sense. And if, again, going back to the whole the lapel
I
thing,
love
if
that.
if we do see them again, it would 100% make sense, especially with the time era, right? The 50s, they're younger. Wanda's she's not like young. She's not old. She's maybe late 20s, early 30s in that time era, and it could easily fit.
I like
love
that.
it.
Never crossed my mind, but that's because it's funny because I've been wondering. I was like, why are they the same people? And that
Makes complete sense.
She's combining her parents with all the things that have haunted her for the last so many years.
Dude,
Stark and her family,
we
right?
have to see Quicksilver.
Strucker.
Like, there's no way that he doesn't appear.
Okay, now after that theory, after bringing that up by Gio and Stacey, do you think that we see him via commercial, or is he actually going to be in the show?
I think he'll be.
Who?
I think he'll be in the show.
Who, Strucker?
Quicksilver.
No.
Pietro.
Quicksilver.
He has to be in the show.
See, I've been trying to think of when and if he would show up. I think he would show up in earlier sitcom times than later. So, like, if in my opinion, I feel like he would be coming up soon.
Possibly.
I mean, maybe not, but
I'll disagree because I think that he might show up when she starts to unravel more. When she starts to lose it more so is when I think he'll show up.
That's why I think there was somebody behind this, and maybe that's like a last resort, Oh, Vision isn't working and all this other stuff. Let me throw in your brother, and maybe that keeps her in whatever mind state of mind.
How about this? What if Ultron shows up?
Ooh.
James Spader is rumored to be in the cast, so
what if we hear that voice?
Think about Stark and then Strucker, and then Ultron killed her brother.
Yeah. No. Well, yes, in the ship. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one in that ship. Yeah, that shot him. As long as Pietro doesn't say you didn't see that coming, we don't need that line again.
I like Chuck's idea. I'm on board with that.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Not that one.
Well, I want to get to this.
I meant this one is the one I was saying with him. If he was like cool Uncle Jesse,
it makes sense.
That's what I was thinking. He's gonna come in and be funny, like the funny uncle or whatever, but he's not gonna seem like himself, obviously.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay.
Yeah.
I could see it coming later if it was something.
So he'll come in,
right?
What would that be? What that the Roseanne episodes, right? That era?
I don't think he'd be in the Roseanne era. I think he'd be.
Is Roseanne 80s? Is Roseanne 80s?
No, Roseanne's 90s.
You don't think it'd be 90s?
I do, but I don't think it's going to be that one. I mean,
do you think we'll see him next week, Brian?
Well, no. I think each
it's funny because now that Chuck said that, now I'm starting to lean the other way.
Yeah,
at him being in a later sitcom than the early ones.
Because when everything starts to come together a little bit more.
Yeah, I could see that later on.
And that's something we got to talk about too. How about the random sudden pregnancy that happened at the end of this episode?
At the very end.
Yeah. Like it just like they said for the children, and then boom, she got a baby bump.
I think that's
okay.
To be honest,
I've been trying to figure out where that's from because they kept saying that over and over and over. And so like that to me, like when they do something like that, I'm like instantly like antennas up. Like, why do you think it was almost cult like for the children? Like, and so I'm like, something's up with that. So I've been snooping around for that.
Well, if you think about it, so when Kathryn Hahn first shows up, she hints at her saying, "Oh, I forget exactly what she says, but she hints at like, why don't you have kids?"
Yeah,
she's trying to say, "Why don't you have kids?" And then they do that whole for the children thing. And then by the end of episode 2, Wanda's pregnant. I believe Kathryn Hahn's character, somebody wants Wanda to produce children
with vision.
And they want them to be superpowered beings. They want to use them somehow as weapons.
Speed
and
Rick.
Kathryn Hahn is in there to make sure that happens. And that's what I think. And then I didn't even know that they had kids in the comics, but I guess they did.
Their kids are huge in the comics. Part of the new Avengers, Young Avengers, all of it.
I think that I think even though this is like a created world by Wanda, I think she actually like produces children. Like she's that powerful that she can like produce children herself. And I think actually gonna come.
I think I don't know if it's gonna be the next episode or the episode after, but we're gonna pop into a new decade and they're just gonna be in cribs. And then each episode we're gonna see them as just so many years older.
Jumping 10 years.
Exactly. And then we're gonna get to present day and they're gonna be teenagers or mid-20s, whatever, full-fledged with powers, and the kids that we know from the comics. Yeah, and then there's part of the Young Avengers.
Do we even know, is there cast members for younger teens or anything like that? Have we heard anything about that?
That would probably be pretty close to the vest.
Yeah, I would think so.
They would cast. They wouldn't reveal that. I mean, they kept a lot of secrets for the show,
which is good. It's a mystery, this show, in a way.
They kept a lot close to the vest, which doesn't happen, which is Disney. And I'll say this about all their shows so far with and it's just been Mandalorian and WandaVision, but they have kept a lot of things secret from us, which is very, very cool on our end because we're not learning.
Marvel did a better job than Star Wars does.
No, I agree. But Mandalorian specifically has done a great job with it. The Luke Skywalker stuff, there's some things in there.
Everything else kind of got rumor.
Well, no, I'm talking more so about like cameos from actors and small appearances or name drops from certain things like the Thrawn stuff or whatever. Like Ahsoka, sure, but that was like a full-fledged episode. Same with Bo-Katan. That's hard to keep a secret. But
I don't think they were trying to keep those a secret, though. To be honest,
yeah, I'm just saying in general. Like so far, if they're keeping secrets, I mean, they haven't revealed a full class. Like same thing here. Emma Caulfield, she just was announced yesterday, and she showed up in the second episode today. She was the blonde woman that was leading the luncheon.
Yeah.
A lot of people had just learned about her, and the show's been in production for.
That means there could be a ton of surprises. The rest.
I'm saying like there's a lot of possibilities that we could see a lot of people show up down the road, and we're talking about the kids specifically in casting, but there could be 2 big name young actors that play these characters.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be entering the 70s around that time. That's probably the era that we're going to hit next. Well, no, that is the era we're going to hit next because
if we're going by decades, it's I would
because I Love Lucy was 50s, which that episode was clearly what it was made after, and Bewitched was clearly the second one, which was the 60s, and so I would imagine you're looking at Brady Bunch next with the 70s. Brady Bunch, probably Partridge Family, like that type.
Well, they're not just ripping one, show.
Oh no, they're not ripping one. I mean, like
there's always one that really like influences it.
Yeah, exactly. And then they throw in things from other shows. Yeah,
like the 50s and 60s, like it had a mix of Dick Van Dyke show in it, but like it was clearly more of an homage to I Love Lucy, and then the entrance or just the little theme title opening was 100% Bewitched. Like it was almost identical at points to it.
That's the show that had an animated intro, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew I'd seen that before, and they were obviously paying homage to it.
Real quick, John, we're getting 9. We're getting 9. 8 weeks. They did two today. 7 more to go. I'll say this. So let's just count it real quick. So first episode 50s, second episode 60s, third 70s, fourth 80s, 90s at 5.
They stopped there. I think they.
I think they're going to do a couple in the 90s.
So because I think that the last 2 or 3 will be present day with all the stuff that happens. Probably the last 2. I would say the last 2 because it also said that the first 3 episodes are 30 minutes and then the rest of them are longer television run times. So I have a feeling that we're going to get a couple in present day with all this stuff breaks loose. But I do think that we'll probably stay put. Like the time will probably stop at the latest 2000s. Well, it might be the 90s.
You're going to have 2000s in there because they've already said, well, they didn't say, but Sabrina the Teenage Witch crossed into the 2000s. And I heard at one point that they said that they were going to even rip a little bit of Modern Family, which would clearly be like this time.
2010s, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they do go that far then. I thought they stopped in the 90s because then you kind of stop with the classic sitcoms after that. But
no,
I think they could go into 2000s and 2010s.
Yeah. I mean, your 70s is going to be probably more Brady Bunch. Your 80s is probably going to be the Full House because it started late 80s. 90s will probably be Roseanne.
Fresh Prince? Fresh Prince in the 90s?
I wish.
Fresh Prince?
Then you're going to have another 90s-ish.
Do you think they're going to try to do like a Friends thing?
No.
I mean, who knows?
How about a Fresh Prince intro? That's the only addition we get.
That'd be pretty funny.
That'd be amazing.
Wow, that would be crazy.
Please give it to me.
Yeah. I mean, you could almost map it out.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I wanted to count it down because it's an interesting conversation. This is a good one by John. Family Matters as well.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, 70s, you're looking at Brady Bunch, 80s, probably Full House, 90s, Roseanne, end of 90s is 2000s will be Sabrina, and then potentially that Modern Family type thing. So that's what, at least 6 right there. So, yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
We haven't even talked about the Beekeeper.
I know, and we'll talk about the Beekeeper here, but I do want to highlight Kylie's comment or super chat here. Kylie's, thank you so much for the super chat.
Hi, Kylie.
The Doctor ... Strange. Nice. That is definitely coming, which will be very interesting. All right, let's. Oh, here we go by Stacy. Was it early 2000s when Wanda's parents died? I believe so. We'd have to look at the exact timeline in the MCU itself, not the comics, but the MCU. But that could be right. It could be right.
Early to, yeah. Well, probably more mid to late because Iron Man started 2008 and they started at the exact year, 2008. And that was the height of his weapons manufacturing. So I would say probably anywhere from 2007 to 10, maybe.
All right, let's get to the Beekeeper. We'll finish up with the Beekeeper today. The biggest thing that we kind of got from the 2 episodes. We can call it a cliffhanger. We can call it a tease. We can call it a big WTF moment. Brian, I'll start with you because I know you've probably done some research or had some thoughts about this one. What are we thinking on this Beekeeper?
I mean, I haven't done too much research at all. I haven't had time, but I mean, I obviously think it's a sword agent. I mean,
well, it's on his back, right?
Yeah. So, I thought it was interesting. We didn't see his face, which leads me to again believe that she knows the stuff that's inside, but anything that's from the outside, it's no, I don't know what that is. And again, this is when she broke that, if you want to call it fourth wall or whatever you want to call it. And she went, no, this isn't right, or whatever she said. And
did she say no, not now or something?
I don't remember what.
Said no.
Just no. Okay.
Yeah. And she reverses it so this is again, the stopping.
You know what? I think who said it was a real town?
Brian.
I said it's a real town.
I think it is because I think a sword agent found a way to get in, and that's why she was like no, and then she like reversed it.
Yeah.
Why is he coming up from under the ground? You know?
Yeah. I think I mean, if you have a bubble over the town, it's not gonna more than likely it's not gonna go through the ground. How did you get under the bubble? You tunnel under a bubble.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only thing, Rachel. I cannot figure out the beat.
Is there any significance to that? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into, like I said, I haven't looked into anything lately.
It might just have to do with whoever's under the mask.
Yeah, I'm not sure because, like, I mean, it is a very beekeeper looking outfit. Yeah, she said no and rewinded. So I'm not 100% sure because that's what I was wondering too. I was like, okay, like if someone just came in, like they're in a suit, but there were insects, we'll say, with it. So I was kind of like, okay.
The big, what's the significance of that to her? Like what is, and maybe it has to do with what's happened to her since Endgame or who the character is under that beekeeper mask.
And they're clearly Sword is clearly trying to find a way inside because the toy helicopter had the logo on it too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're testing what can go in through this bubble, if you will. I'm saying it like if I know, but.
Well, no, that makes sense now. Now I do believe it's actually like, well, she could have created the town too and still created the bubble, but they're like physically there. It's not just like in her head or something.
Yeah, the townspeople are her actors and actresses, and she's perpetuating what she wants them to do. So, okay, Chuck, that is what that's what I was thinking too. The old AIM suits, the bright yellow. The joke was that they were called beekeeper suits. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, that looks like an AIM agent suit. But obviously you can't see the color. And then the bees also was like, I was like, okay, that's kind of coincidence that they were called beekeeper suits. So like, I don't know what they're doing with that. The thing that throws me off that idea was the sword logo. If that sword logo wasn't there, then I would have immediately gone like, that's AIM. But I'm not sure. The logo is what deters me from that.
Yeah, they're messing with us, you know. They're trying to make us guess, and that's good. I mean, we don't need to know it all right away.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw up this final comment before we move on and wrap up today. This is from Stacy. She says, what if Loki makes a surprise appearance at the end? Maybe Sword and TVA have teamed up to destroy Wanda's fake reality.
I think TVA is going to be its own thing.
I mean, I would love that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
TV, because I even messed it up. Time and like multiverse and reality those are very separate things that are very similar that you kind of just like I mix it up sometimes. Oh wait, that's multiverse, not time. So putting those two together, I think would throw off too many people.
I agree. I think the Loki show is going to be, out of all the things that are coming out, the most distant from anything. And that includes TVA. It's going to be something so distant from anything in the MCU. Maybe it'll come back around, but I have a feeling it's going to kind of be in its own little world out there.
Part of me thinks that Loki's not going to even reconnect with any character that we've seen.
I don't think he will either. I agree. Yeah.
So
I agree.
He might bring in new characters, but I don't think he's going to interact with any old MCU characters anymore, in my opinion.
All right, gentlemen. Well, before we wrap it up today, any final thoughts on the first two episodes of WandaVision? and what you're. I guess I'll ask this: what's the most exciting thing you're looking forward to going forward after seeing the first 2 episodes? Gio, I'll start with you.
As far as these first 2 episodes go, I think there's a high percentage of rewatchability because you miss so many things each time. Speaking of time, the time on the watch. If you haven't looked into that, please do, because that time on the watch could mean a lot of things during that Strucker commercial. But I'm just more excited to see Wanda struggle to keep everything together. Because it already seems like there's dents in her reality that she's created. And I'm very interested to see who exactly are those people at the very end who tune in on the TV, who are writing down notes. There's rumors that hand that you see at the very end of the first episode is Darcy, but we'll know more about that. So it's a lot to think about. And I think between now and the next episodes, a lot of us will be revisiting and making our own theories or more theories. So,
Brian.
I honestly just don't care. Just keep giving me MCU stuff. Like,
I'm with you.
It doesn't disappoint.
Just speak for us both right now.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I got so happy just turning it on and hearing the dun, 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 like that. I got so elated just from hearing that. Like, this honestly might be one of the most, I feel like is going to end up being one of the most thought out, thorough things that they do, because this is so out of left field for any show, movie, company to do. So, I mean, they're literally going back through time and
they're recreating history.
Yes. And so I'm honestly just sitting here like enjoying the ride. Like I am so, whatever they do, I have all my faith in what they do. I'm just sitting back and enjoying every second of it.
Mr. Bartley.
Yeah, well, it's funny, Gio, you said rewatchability. I've been thinking all day, I can't wait to go back and rewatch these 2 episodes just to look for Easter eggs and stuff, but also just because they're enjoyable and entertaining and funny. Just seeing Wanda and Vision goof around. Like, I really enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to that continuing, and just give me some more Kathryn Hahn. She's awesome.
Yeah. She's going to be in every episode, man. She's the third lead. She'll be there every step of the way. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up today's Marvel Rewind. To everyone watching and commenting and everything, I'm sorry, I got thrown off by Rachel's comment. I was reading. I represent the ignorant masses, just along for the ride. There you go, Rachel.
It's not ignorant. You're just, I mean, it's so enjoyable. You just sit there and watch it.
So again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for the past hour talking WandaVision. Again, we'll be here every single Friday. Going forward, we will our normal time is at 4 p.m. Pacific. We had changed things around today specifically, but we will be at 4 p.m. Pacific for the rest of the time talking WandaVision every single Friday. And for the next number of weeks, the next 2 months, you'll see us here on Fridays talking this brand new Marvel show. And it's going to get down to the nitty gritty as this show goes on, because there's going to be a lot of things to talk about going forward after this show is finished. So make sure you're joining us there. If you want to listen to the show, say you can only pop in here and there, but you want to listen on audio to go, we are available on audio, guys. Apple, Anchor, Spotify. You guys can find us. Just search Apocaflix Movies, and you will find all of our episodes for now and Rewind up on there. You can check those out as well. And then all of our social media and other channels are down in the description below, so you can find us there as well. So for the whole Rewind crew here, Brian, Gio, Jacob, myself, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.